Nearly 7 years ago, in December of 2013, Heather Elvis, 20-year-old, goes missing. She vanishes without a trace, has not been seen or heard from since. Two people, a wife and husband at the time, are arrested for kidnapping her and conspiracy to make her disappear. And yet, through all this, a body has never been found. What happened to Heather Elvis? Hello, my friend, and welcome to Not Famous. Today we are talking about Heather Elvis. She disappeared in December of 2013. She was a 20-year-old at the time. A few months prior to her disappearance, she started dating a man, a much older man who was 38 years old, named Sidney Moorer. And at the time, her friends were not too happy about this, often asking her what she saw in the man, especially considering that Sidney was married. At the time, she was a 20-year-old waitress at the Tilted Kill bar in her home of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and she also worked with a maintenance worker named Sidney. Sidney is an interesting guy. He's got 3 kids with his wife, Tammy Moorer, and says that they're in this open relationship, that they're really not together, and that they're gonna be falling apart. Tammy has supposedly got a boyfriend, and they're planning on separating, and Sydney's gonna leave her at some point. So Heather, 20 years old, she kind of, falls in love with this guy, it seems, in some ways, and she hangs out with him, until Tammy, the wife, figures out what's going on with the relationship. Tammy starts threatening Heather, right? She actually, at one point, in one day, she calls Heather 60 times while Heather's at work. Now, at this point, Heather pretty much cuts off the relationship with Sidney altogether. Out of the blue, one day, she starts getting text messages from Sidney saying that he left his wife, that he wanted to be with her, he wanted to make it work out. She's young and impressionable, and she agrees to meet him. She even tells one of her best friends that she's planning to go meet him at this boat dock. The friend is not happy about that and asks Heather to sleep on it, to ask her to take time to really evaluate what she wants. That's the last time that her best friend hears from her ever. Heather goes missing. She is not seen from. A day later, her car is found at this boating dock where she was supposedly going to meet up with Sidney. Police check phone records and find out that the last person she had contact with was Sidney. Her father actually texts Sidney, tries to get a hold of him, has never even met this guy, never even heard of him before. Now, 2 months later into the investigation, both Sidney and Tammy Moorer are arrested, and they are being charged for the kidnapping and a conspiracy of what happened to Heather. It plays out for quite a while until more recently, in October of 2018, 5 years after the events of what happened, Tammy Moorer is sentenced to 30 years in prison. September of 2019, Sidney Moorer, the husband who was having a relationship with Heather, he is sentenced to 30 years in prison for the kidnapping and conspiracy to kidnap. Neither of them have been officially charged with murder. There simply is not enough evidence. And the fact is, to this day, in 2020, Heather's body has never been found. Police say Sidney still claims innocence and will not admit to any of the events that might have happened to her, will not give police or authorities or the family any inclination of what happened to Heather, where she may be at. That's where the case is today. These two people are behind bars, obviously had some involvement in her disappearance, but despite being presumed dead, there's no body, there's no evidence left behind of whatever truly happened to Heather Elvis. Famous. Not famous.